It felt easy. You talked for hours, you laughed, and when you left, you thought, that was different. Then the next day came, and nothing really happened. No message, no plan, just silence. And suddenly something doesn't match, because what felt strong in the moment is not continuing after. When people talk about chemistry in dating, they often describe it like something magical, almost like they just discovered a rare creature in the forest. But let's slow down for a moment. Chemistry is actually much more normal than people think. It simply means you enjoy interacting with someone. You talk easily, you laugh, you feel comfortable. Sometimes you also notice you find the person physically attractive. You like their smile, you notice the way they look at you, you sit a little closer than usual. That mix of attraction and easy conversation feels good. That's chemistry. And none of that is unusual. You didn't just discover a unicorn, you met a person you enjoy talking to. That happens more often than people think. In fact, chemistry is quite easy to create. Put two people together who are curious about each other. Give them a relaxed environment. Add a little attraction, and suddenly the interaction feels exciting. Imagine a typical first meeting. You meet for coffee. You start talking, 1 hour passes, then another. You talk about work, travel, funny situations from the week. You laugh. You notice time passed faster than expected. And when you leave, you think, that was actually really nice. Sometimes you also notice you both stayed longer than planned, which usually means the coffee was not the only reason you stayed. Most people have experienced a moment like that at least once. A conversation that flowed easily, time passing faster than expected. What happened after that meeting? Sometimes nothing unusual happens. You both go home, you think the evening was nice, then the next day arrives, and suddenly you notice something interesting. You find yourself checking your phone a few more times than usual. Chemistry tells you how the interaction feels in the moment. Consistency tells you what the interaction actually is. Consistency appears after the chemistry moment. Think about the last time you felt strong chemistry with someone. Not the first hour. What happened in the days that followed? That part reveals much more than the first meeting. Consistency appears in behavior. The next day arrives. Do they reach out again? A few days later, do they suggest another meeting? When they say they would like to see you again, does that become an actual plan? Or does it remain a sentence that never turns into anything real? This is where things often become confusing because many people are very good at creating chemistry. They are charming, they are engaging, they know how to make a conversation feel exciting. And to be fair, many people know how to create chemistry for a few hours. Is the first date. Of course, you're both trying a little. You are attentive, you are curious, you are on your best behavior. Creating chemistry for one evening is not the difficult part. The difficult part is consistency. Keeping the same rhythm the next day, the next week, and the week after that. Because chemistry can last for a few hours. Consistency is what reveals what happens after. Imagine two different situations. In the first situation, the first meeting feels amazing. Conversation flows, there is attraction, there's energy. You walk away thinking, that felt different. But after that, communication slowly fades. Messages arrive later, plans never quite happen. The interaction that felt promising suddenly feels uncertain. Sometimes the person even sends a message like, hey, just that. and you stare at the screen wondering if the rest of the message got lost somewhere in the internet. In the second situation, the first meeting is pleasant, not dramatic, not fireworks, but the next day the person sends a message. A few days later, they suggest another meeting. The following week, you see each other again. Nothing spectacular, but the pattern continues. Which situation is more stable? Most people would say the first one felt more exciting, but the second one contains something much more valuable: consistency. Consistency is not flashy, it does not create fireworks. Consistency is simply behavior that continues. Someone says they will call, and they call. Someone suggests meeting, and the meeting actually happens. Someone shows interest, and that interest keeps appearing. Over time, this steady rhythm creates something chemistry alone cannot create: trust. Because when behavior repeats in the same direction, you stop analyzing every little signal. You stop wondering what the last message meant. You stop playing detective with someone's texting habits. You know the situation, reading a message once, then reading it again, and somehow expecting the third reading to reveal a hidden meaning. Most people have been there. Inconsistency works in the opposite way. One day the attention feels strong, the next day it disappears. One week they seem enthusiastic, the next week they seem distant. And suddenly you find yourself analyzing messages like a detective examining evidence. But often the explanation is simpler than all that analysis. Chemistry was present, consistency was not. Chemistry creates attraction, consistency creates reality. This is why consistency matters more than chemistry when evaluating someone. Chemistry can happen with many people. Consistency is much rarer. When chemistry and consistency appear together, the interaction becomes both enjoyable and stable. But when chemistry appears without consistency, confusion almost always follows. Because sparks can appear quickly, but real connections are built through repeated behavior over time.